Take a moment to look at the edges of your palms, specifically near the base of your thumb and your pinky. If they appear slightly redder than the center, you might be looking at palmar erythema. Next, check the whites of your eyes. A subtle yellow tint, known in clinical terms as jaundice, indicates the liver isn't clearing a substance called bilirubin as efficiently as it should. These external changes are subtle because the organ behind them cannot scream. The liver lacks surface pain receptors, meaning it can be inflamed, swollen, or even scarring without sending a single pain signal to your brain. To understand why, we have to look at its scale. The liver acts as your body's central water treatment plant. Nearly everything you eat, drink, or absorb is filtered here before it ever reaches the rest of your system. Because the system cannot feel its own damage, we have to look at the internal mechanics to see how everyday toxins can silently dismantle it from the inside out. Under a microscope, the liver reveals its complexity. It's composed of roughly 100,000 microscopic processing units called lobules, packed with specialized checkpoint cells called hepatocytes. When you consume alcohol, ethanol molecules are absorbed through the stomach and travel directly via the bloodstream into these hepatocyte checkpoints. Inside the cell, the ADH enzyme grabs the ethanol, beginning the breakdown process. This yields acetaldehyde, a compound far more toxic and DNA damaging than alcohol. To manage this, the liver deploys a second enzyme, converting the volatile acetaldehyde into a harmless compound called acetate. Alcohol itself isn't the direct source of cellular damage. The danger comes from this intermediate step where the liver creates a far more potent toxin. This neutralization system operates under a strict speed limit. A healthy liver can typically only process and clear about 1 standard drink per hour. When consumption exceeds that limit, a bottleneck occurs. The second enzyme cannot keep up, and toxic acetaldehyde begins to pile up inside the cells. This backlog forces the liver to shift its priorities. It stops processing fat correctly, leading to the abnormal storage of fat droplets in a stage called alcohol-related fatty liver. The immune system eventually detects this cellular stress. It sends in repair cells, which triggers a state of chronic inflammation in the tissue. Repeated cycles of this inflammation leave behind permanent scar tissue. This is fibrosis, and if the cycle continues, it leads to the structural collapse known as cirrhosis. Serious liver damage isn't a sudden event. It is a slow, structural degradation caused by consistently outrunning the organ's metabolic speed limit. Even after damage, the liver has a rare capacity for recovery. It's the only solid internal organ capable of substantial cellular regeneration. However, this ability is finite. If heavy scarring builds up, it creates physical barriers that block cells from dividing, eventually shutting down the liver's power to heal. This biological limit is why extreme short-term detoxes or cleanses are often ineffective. You cannot magically flush away established scar tissue or structural changes with a weekend trend. Dramatic interventions fail because they ignore the metabolic bottleneck. They don't address the underlying cellular structure or the time required for actual tissue repair. Supporting the liver requires working with its biology. Alternating drinks with water is a practical way to slow the rate of alcohol absorption, giving your enzymes the time they need to keep pace. A diet rich in antioxidants and healthy fats further supports this process by reducing the oxidative stress that occurs during the toxic backlog. The most effective habit is simply consistency, scheduling consecutive alcohol-free days. This provides the critical window for the liver to clear its backlog and process stored fat before inflammation sets in. Maintaining this organ comes down to biological math. Respecting the enzymatic speed limit gives the liver's self-healing machinery the time it needs to preserve the system.